"You've got to be fragmenting kidding me," muttered First Contact Archivist Zarnox Vel, his antennae twitching in frustration as he hovered beside a towering crystalline monolith etched into the icy crust of Threxos, Pluto's oddly quiet moon. Beside him, glowing faintly in sync with rising excitement, stood the bioarchivist Dr. Quan Lyra, her gelatinous form shifting hues as she captured high-resolution scans of the strange carvings. 17 confirmed, she chirped, not bothering to hide her glee. Every one of them says the same thing, just in different languages. Do not disturb the third planet. She paused. Oh, and one said, seriously, don't. This is not a drill. I like the one from the ruins on Mars better, added Junior Analyst Plim as his tentacles idly flicked through their findings on a floating holopad. Look, we're not kidding. They're terrifying when cranky, he read aloud, as if it wasn't already burned into their memories. The 3 alien researchers stood huddled in their frost-resistant suits, the silence of Threxos wrapping around them like a shroud. Above them, their sleek research craft, the Luminary Drift, continued its passive scans of the Kuiper Belt, looking for more relics from lost empires. Zarnox paced, his feet leaving symmetrical hexagonal prints in the frost. "Let's get this straight," he began, clicking his secondary jaw shut in irritation. "Multiple advanced civilizations, we're talking millions of years of progress here, all left urgent warnings about Earth, a species that's barely managed to digitize itself and hasn't even colonized their own moon properly?" Lyra's glow dimmed thoughtfully. "That's what the Venus Archives said. Mostly harmless, while dormant." Then 17 exclamation marks, and a footnote that translated roughly to, "If they're caffeinated, run." The one who carved that was clearly having a breakdown, Plim noted. Linguistic analysis shows panic-induced syntax scrambling, full-on dread encoding. And yet, Zarnox sighed, shoulders slumping, here we are, ignoring all of it. There was a shared silence, broken only by the soft hum of the atmosphere scrubbers in their suits. "We're definitely waking them up, aren't we?" Plim asked, already knowing the answer. "Oh, absolutely," Lyra confirmed cheerfully. "The Council of Xenoscience is practically drooling over this opportunity," Zarnox added, already flipping through pre-approval documents in his neural implant. "They want live scans, cultural studies, language samples, DNA readings, you name it." "Well," Plim said, squinting at the icy warning beneath their feet, "at least they'll get what they wanted, assuming we survive long enough to upload the data." As they began their trek back to the Luminary Drift, none of them noticed the faint line of alien glyphs chiseled beneath the larger warning, written in what would later be identified as Old Othari script. P. If you're reckless enough to ignore this warning, for the love of entropy, do not mention anything about limited coffee supplies. We lost 3 sectors that way. As the ship silently ascended from the surface of Threxos and pointed itself toward Earth, the stars watched, uncaring, while history braced itself for another rewrite by every protocol in the Galactic First Contact Directive. The approach to the third planet was flawless. The Luminary Drift, sleek, silent, and shimmering with phase field stealth tech, glided into position just beyond the orbit of Earth's moon. Communications arrays extended like petals, translator cores hummed in anticipation. The crew of 3, Zarnox Vel, Dr. Quan Lyra, and Junior Analyst Plim, stood ready at their console stations, watching the blue and green world spin below. "Commence first contact protocol," Zarnox said, antennae tense. Lyra tapped the console, broadcasting peaceful greetings across all known linguistic spectrums. There was a pause. The translator core chirped, signal received, response incoming. What followed was not standard. "Me receiving something called Twitter?" Plim blinked, confused as data flooded the system. "Also Reddit, TikTok, YouTube Live, and what appears to be several thousand memes." The main viewer displayed an endless scroll of human reactions, blurry cell phone photos of the alien ship, pixelated alien fan art, enthusiastic text overlays like "Bro, they here, fur," and hashtags including "Take us with you" and "Area 51 graduates." One user posted, "Just saw the aliens, they kinda hot." "What in the 9 spirals is this?" Zarnox muttered. "I believe they're making jokes about first contact," Lyra said slowly, watching as someone uploaded a deepfake video of Zarnox doing the Macarena. Plim's holopad flickered. "At least 30% of their online population is suggesting we fight them. In real life," the AI translated helpfully. "Though most appear to be non-serious threats, some are referencing Florida Man as a hypothetical combatant." Zarnox squinted. "Is that a military unit?" "No," said the AI. "It appears to be a recurring cultural anomaly involving unpredictable behavior and high levels of chaos. Highly memeable." "This isn't how first contact is supposed to go," Zarnox muttered. "Where's the panic, the philosophical reeling, the questions about their place in the universe?" "Oh, that's happening," Lyra replied, eyes wide as she scrolled. "They're just processing it through humor, sarcasm, and something called shitposting." More data rolled in, humans crafting elaborate alien conspiracy TikToks, debates about whether aliens preferred cats or dogs, and even a surge in online stores offering "I got probed and all I got was this t-shirt" merchandise, complete with a silhouette of the luminary drift. "Merchandising rights are already being claimed," Plim gasped. "That's impressively fast." Before Zarnox could respond, a new message pinged the comms. This one far more formal. It bore the emblem of Earth's global coordinating body, the Unified Assembly of Nations. "At last." "Play it," Zarnox ordered. A stately human appeared on screen, flanked by flags and advisors. "Greetings, visitors. We welcome you in peace and hope to establish mutual understanding." Zarnox nodded in relief. Finally, a rational species-level response. The human continued. "Our leaders are ready to meet. Please proceed to designated coordinates. Also," the postscript scrolled across the screen. "P.S. If you're planning anything shady, please know humanity has watched every alien invasion movie ever made. We've prepared contingency plans ranging from Independence Day to Mars attacks. Also, we're confident we can get Jeff Goldblum on a Zoom call if needed." There was a long silence on the bridge. "Who is Jeff Goldblum?" Lyra asked. The AI replied instantly, "An actor, known primarily for helping thwart fictional alien invasions using a laptop in Windows 95. Zarnox leaned against the console, face in all 4 hands. "I'm starting to understand the ancient warnings." "They weren't scared of humanity's weapons," Plim said, awe creeping into his voice. "They were scared of this." The next 3 days before the landing ceremony were a whirlwind of observation, preparation, and increasingly surreal discoveries. "They've been fighting each other for millennia," Zarnox reported in their final pre-landing briefing, "but somehow they've made exponential technological progress anyway. They developed nuclear weapons before they made wheeled suitcases," Lyra added. "That's not linear." "They haven't fixed climate collapse or global governance," Plim noted, "but they've created thousands of reaction GIFs about alien arrival. Half of them feature raccoons and anime girls." "And yet," Zarnox whispered, watching the planet below shimmer with lights and signals, "they're somehow thriving?" "I think we should turn back," Lyra said. "Too late," Plim interrupted, pointing at the screen. "Thousands of small aircraft are approaching our landing site. They appear to be civilian?" The viewer zoomed in. Skies full of drones, helicopters, flying cameras, and streets below jammed with humans, grilling food beside parked vehicles. "They're tailgating," the AI confirmed. "It's a pre-event ritual involving meat, alcohol, and emotional bonding, common at sports events." "They're having a party," Zarnox said, stunned. "They're having a party to celebrate meeting potentially hostile extraterrestrials?" Lyra echoed. "To be fair," the AI added, "they seem to have parties for everything. One major ritual centers around watching a game involving an oblong object and consuming something called seven-layer dip." The three aliens stood in silence as the crowds below spontaneously broke into a synchronized rendition of something titled "The Final Countdown." "Is that a war anthem?" Zarnox asked hopefully. "No," the AI replied. "It's a power ballad from a Scandinavian music ensemble known as Europe." "Wait," Lyra asked. "Is Europe a governing body or a band?" "Yes," said the AI. Zarnox let out a long, slow exhale. "All right, then," he said, squaring his shoulders. "Let's make history." "Or," Plim added, "become part of an elaborate internet joke." "Probably both," Lyra agreed, as the luminary drift began its descent through Earth's atmosphere, humanity already blasting EDM remixes of alien greetings. 3 days after the meme tsunami and Jeff Goldblum threat, Earth was officially ready for contact. The Unified Assembly of Nations had designated a secure landing site in a remote desert valley, surrounded by military observation posts, scientific personnel, and diplomatic entourages. Strict no-fly zones had been issued, media passes revoked, and high-level clearance protocols circulated across every participating country. Naturally, humans ignored all of it. By the time the luminary drift breached atmospheric entry, the valley below looked less like a global security zone and more like a festival. 1,000 tents dotted the edges of the perimeter, grills smoked, music thumped from solar-powered speakers. Someone was flying a banner that read, "Welcome, alien homies. We got snacks." "They're treating this like a celebration," Zarnox said, scanning the chaotic visuals from their ship's external sensors. "There are people cooking meat in portable ovens and consuming something called fermented hops water," reported Lyra. "Tailgating," the AI clarified, "a common pre-event social ritual, especially in contexts involving sporting events or large gatherings." "They're tailgating our planetary arrival?" Zarnox sputtered. "They appear thrilled," Plim said, watching a crowd break into a synchronized chant of ET, "Phone home." The ship banked low, deploying elegant gravitational brakes, and descended in a slow, ceremonial arc. The diplomatic music the humans had uploaded was still broadcasting through open channels. A remix of Richard Strauss's Also sprach Zarathustra, mashed with synth-heavy techno beats and something called Baby Shark. "This is deeply confusing," Zarnox muttered, checking that their translator core wasn't malfunctioning. As the ship touched down on the glowing beacon pad, all protocol officers on board stood at attention. Zarnox adjusted the creases on his diplomatic uniform. Lyra's chromatophores shifted into respectful shades of deep navy and silver. Plim's tentacles straightened themselves for once. "We are here to represent our people," Zarnox said solemnly. "Let's remain calm, measured, and dignified." The ramp lowered with a stately hiss. Steam curled from the edges as the alien delegation emerged, backlit by the orange hue of Earth's rising sun. And then a human in an inflatable dinosaur costume charged the ship. "Welcome to Earth," the creature bellowed, its tiny arms flailing as it bounced forward across the sand. Security personnel raced after it too late. The inflatable T-Rex was already waving a banner made of glitter and LED strips that read, "We come in peace and pizza." Before being gently apprehended, the human tossed a plush alien doll toward Zarnox, which smacked him gently in the face. It wore a sash that said, "You," and had big googly eyes. There was a moment of stunned silence. Zarnox turned slowly to his translator core. "Is this for humans," the AI replied. "Actually, yes, this is remarkably on brand for them." The official delegation recovered quickly, though it was difficult to ignore the many dignitaries failing to stifle laughter. The Secretary General of Earth, a composed woman with silver hair and expressive eyes, stepped forward from the diplomatic line. "On behalf of the peoples of Earth," she began with a formal nod, "we welcome you. May this be the beginning of peace, progress, and mutual understanding." Zarnox bowed deeply. "We come in peace and seek shared knowledge between our civilizations." "Wonderful," she said, smiling. "We've arranged a reception to celebrate this historic moment." Plim perked up. "A party?" Lyra sighed. "Of course it's a party." The reception was held in an open-air structure, adorned with Earth's flags and artistic interpretations of alien visitors. There were speeches, yes, but also a dance floor, food tables, music, and an unexpected contest involving rapidly moving feet called the Cha-Cha Slide. "This is not standard protocol," Zarnox said quietly as he watched two humans teach an alien how to do the worm. "It's educational," Plim argued, balancing a strange round food object on one tentacle. "Also, this pizza is amazing." Lyra sniffed hers cautiously. "It smells like fermented dairy on carbohydrates." "It's called cheese," said a nearby human scientist. "Don't knock it until you try it. Want to see what it's like with pineapple?" Zarnox had just begun to consider whether interspecies culinary exploration was allowed under first contact treaties when Plim began glowing. "Oh no," Lyra muttered. "He's found the coffee." Indeed, the junior analyst was already sipping his third cup and explaining orbital mechanics to a group of amused humans using only salt shakers and interpretive gestures. "He's vibrating," Zarnox noted. "It's normal," a human responded with a grin. "Happens to us too. That's just stage one." The rest of the reception blurred together in a stream of caffeine, confusion, and joy. By the end of it, Plim had taught quantum entanglement using glow sticks, Lyra was in a heated philosophical debate with a teenager about anime, and Zarnox had two Earth children ask if he could make real lightsabers. As the sun dipped below the horizon and the dance music kicked back in, Zarnox stood at the edge of the crowd, observing the humans laughing, dancing, eating, and occasionally trying to high-five him. "They're not like any species I've studied," he said softly. "No," Lyra agreed, handing him a can of something called Fizzy Boom Grape. "But I think I'm beginning to understand why the warnings were carved." "They weren't scared of humanity's rage," Zarnox said, watching Plim teach toddlers how to calculate warp curvature with juice boxes. "They were scared of their enthusiasm. They were scared of how fast humans could turn fear into welcome," Lyra added. "And how fast they'd turn us into plushies," Zarnox muttered, still holding the alien doll. The reception wasn't just a diplomatic formality. It was a full cultural explosion. Held in a converted research dome on the edge of the desert, the venue featured planetary flags, multilingual holograms, and disco lights. Beneath a banner that read, "Galaxy Meet Earth, First Rounds on Us," humans and aliens intermingled across buffet lines, DJ booths, and oddly competitive limbo contests. "I was expecting scrolls and treaties," said Zarnox Vel, clutching a paper plate as he tried to navigate a buffet table. "What's this called again?" Dr. Lyra asked, poking at a gooey triangle covered in red sauce, golden strands, and charred discs. "Pizza," answered the nearby human, a geologist who had definitely pre-gamed with something fermented. "Try it with pineapple. It's divisive but transcendent." Lyra cautiously tasted a bite, and her chromatophores flared with surprise. "This is unusually pleasing. Why does it work?" "We don't know," the geologist said cheerfully. "Our greatest minds are still arguing about it on Reddit." Across the dome, Plim, their caffeine-curious junior analyst, was surrounded by a circle of humans who were clapping along as he attempted to explain particle entanglement using two glow sticks and the beat of an electronic remix of Sweet Caroline. "Does he know he's performing?" Zarnox asked. "I think he crossed the caffeine event horizon 30 minutes ago," Lyra replied. Plim raised a hand dramatically and declared, "And that, dear friends of entropy, is why neutrinos are emotionally distant, but quantumly committed." Then he collapsed into a bow. The crowd erupted into cheers. "You have to admire their ability to party and parse physics at the same time," said Lyra, accepting a second slice of pizza, this time topped with something called jalapenos that humans claimed were mild. They were not. At the far side of the dome, Zarnox was cornered by an exuberant aerospace engineer who had a half-eaten burger in one hand and a whiteboard marker in the other. "Look," the engineer slurred, drawing a diagram that vaguely resembled a duck. "If we bend the FTL calculations just a smidge and ignore every known constant, I bet we can break light speed just for snacks. Like snack drive propulsion." "That is not how physics works," Zarnox said weakly. "See, that's your first mistake," the engineer winked. "We never let that stop us." Meanwhile, Plim had moved on to the dance floor and was now attempting to communicate a black hole's spaghettification effect through something the humans called the worm. Lyra filmed it for the science logs, and possibly for blackmail. As the music changed to something thumping and energetic called Intergalactic Bopstorm, Zarnox backed into a table with a strange apparatus on it. "What is this machine?" he asked the human beside him, a physicist in a band tee. "Espresso maker," they said. "You want to try the triple shot?" Lyra opened her mouth to say, "Absolutely not," but it was too late. Plim had already downed one, turned to a group of human physicists and shouted, "Who wants to build a laser violin?" An hour later, he was surrounded by cheering interns as he played Bohemian Rhapsody using a hacked theremin and 2 salad tongs while explaining gravitational lensing. "This is why the warnings were carved into moons," Zarnox muttered, slowly sipping sparkling water as chaos unfolded around him. "No," Lyra corrected, holding a plate of something called nachos while watching a Nobel laureate attempt to balance a fission model on their forehead. "This is why we should have read all the footnotes, especially the one that said, 'Don't bring espresso.'" From a corner of the venue, an unexpected announcement boomed across the speakers. "Coming up next, the interpretive dance of string theory, featuring Plim and the University of Nevada's Swing Club." The crowd cheered, lights dimmed, fog machines activated. Lyra lowered her face into her hands and laughed. As Plim took the stage in a feathered cape someone had gifted him and launched into a routine that involved juggling marshmallows while describing multiverse drift, Zarnox could only watch, in a kind of stunned admiration. "This," he whispered, "this is how civilizations end. Or begin again." A nearby human scientist clinked a glass next to him. "Nah," she said, "this is how friendships start." "Through caffeine and chaos?" Zarnox asked. "Exactly," she smiled. "You've met humanity." He paused. Then slowly he smiled too. The interstellar science logs would later refer to it as the crossover era. Earth's official first contact week somehow morphed into a cross-cultural whirlwind where alien tech collided with human chaos in ways no one expected, especially not the galactic observers. The aftermath of the Pizza Coffee Disco Summit was anything but diplomatic downtime. Within 6 days, humans had created 15 universal translator apps, 3 of which functioned properly, 2 of which spoke exclusively in pirate slang, and 1 that somehow ran entirely on dad jokes. Launched an interstellar food truck franchise called Cosmobites, whose flagship product was a deep-fried nebula roll with glow-in-the-dark aioli. Convinced Plim to start a TikTok channel where he explained dark matter using interpretive sock puppets. It went intergalactic viral by Tuesday. "I'm not sure what's happening anymore," Zarnox said, watching a live stream of Lyra teaching an online cooking class with a famous human chef. Is that molecular gastronomy? They're calling it quantum quesadillas, Plim added proudly, still wearing his TikTok influencer sash. We're booked on 4 more human shows this week. They've turned cultural integration into competitive television, Zarnox muttered. Fusion food wasn't the only arena humans began casually dominating. On the tech side, Earth's engineers had become increasingly offended by the limitations of current galactic transportation systems. Wait, you're telling me you can't break light speed because of the quantum boundary harmonics? One human engineer said during a joint think tank meeting. That's adorable. Has anyone tried just ignoring that? Absolutely not, replied the alien physicist. That's not how fundamental physics works. That's also what they said about flight in the 1800s, the engineer countered, pulling out a coffee-stained napkin. Anyway, here's a sketch I made during lunch. Zarnox reviewed the drawing later that night. It involves something called spite drive. Clem explained. It's not powered by fuel. It's powered by the pure human need to prove the universe wrong. By the end of the week, humans had cobbled together a prototype using salvaged alien components, a microwave coil, and a suspicious number of duct tape rolls. They named it the Slingshotter, and, against all logic, it worked. Well, it launched a sandwich across the solar system at 2.7 C, slightly burnt, slightly smeared in mayonnaise, but intact. This is not possible, muttered a respected Othari physicist. No, said the human next to him. It's not probable. Big difference. That same day, humans founded the United Meme Exchange, a digital platform where they shared their finest intergalactic joke formats. One particularly successful meme, a still of Zarnox looking confused, with the caption, "When the warp drive is down but the snack bar's open," circulated across 3 spiral arms. I'm famous now, Zarnox sighed. You're relatable content, Lyra corrected, tossing him a commemorative sticker. Meanwhile, Plim, now fully caffeinated and slightly too powerful, was running a science outreach live stream titled Space, SAS, and Superconductors, during which he accidentally solved a minor galactic algebraic paradox using nothing but Play-Doh and sarcasm. Back at the Interworld Culinary Lab, Lyra was being courted by investors from 3 planets after she served a molecular fusion dish she called plasma dumplings. Her signature flavor? Neutrino butter. How does it taste like nostalgia and time dilation? One alien food critic asked, weeping gently. It's the cinnamon, Lyra replied. The galaxy wasn't just integrating with humanity, it was mutating around them. Faster, louder, and somehow weirder. Zarnox finally updated his official report. The humans are not just adapting, they are absorbing, converting everything into content, cuisine, and chaos. They've bypassed protocol entirely and are running on cultural caffeine and emotional velocity. They're not a technological threat, they're a conceptual avalanche. And yet no one seemed to mind. Across alien stations, spaceports, and high councils, laughter became more frequent. Fusion food became a status symbol. Galactic talk shows invited human guests. Interstellar fashion began incorporating sneakers and ironic t-shirts. When a Zerulean diplomat asked Plim why humans were this intense, he just sipped his coffee and said, "Because the galaxy told us we couldn't, so now we must." Lyra coined it, spite science. And the galaxy was never the same again. It began, as many human breakthroughs do, with a ridiculous bet over lunch. In the subterranean lab of Joint Research Initiative Alpha 01, buried beneath Colorado and somehow decorated with lava lamps and whiteboards covered in cartoon doodles, the Human Athari Scientific Task Force gathered to review the spite drive progress. The agenda: theoretical propulsion timelines, containment field resonance, and, somehow, reheated pastrami sandwiches. I still don't see the point, said Zarnox Vel, watching as Plim unwrapped a slightly soggy sandwich. Why not use this quantum tether to send critical tech specs, or at least a diagnostic array? Because, said Dr. Morgan, the lead human engineer, that's not fun. We're teleporting a sandwich because the laws of physics said we couldn't, and because I'm hungry. You could just eat the sandwich here, offered Lyra, who was now sporting a chef's apron over her research robes. That would save a lot of existential stress. Nope, Morgan said, pressing a sequence of glowing runes and keyboard macros. Science demands drama. The plan was loosely constructed. They would channel controlled quantum entanglement between two anchored stabilization chambers tuned with Earth-Othari hybrid resonance. One unit sat in the test bay, the other was placed in the lounge upstairs, guarded by a suspiciously alert intern holding a stopwatch and wearing oven mitts. And this will work? Zarnox asked. Morgan shrugged. Define work. It'll either arrive in one piece, partially cooked, or explode, all of which are valuable data points. You terrify me, Zarnox whispered. Flattering, Morgan replied. The countdown began. The sandwich, pastrami, extra mustard, lightly toasted, was placed into the quantum cradle. The lights dimmed. The resonance coils hummed with the sound of pure uncertainty. 3, 2, 1. Engage the snack stream. There was a loud pop, a surge of blue light, and a faint scent of deli meat infused with static electricity. Silence. Then a voice crackled over the comms. It arrived, mostly intact, slightly crispier. Smells fantastic. Applause erupted. Plim immediately declared the test a delicious success. He then updated the task log to read: Project. Sand warp. Status. Toasted. The humans celebrated like they'd just landed on a new planet. There were cheers, coffee toasts, and someone started playing Sandstorm by Darude on a boombox while Plim danced with a lab stool. Zarnox just stared at the now empty cradle. Did they actually did it? He muttered. They teleported food. For no strategic reason, no urgent need, just to do it. Welcome to Earth, Lyra said, offering him a celebratory cookie from a tray labeled Post-Snack Stream Bites. The success sparked an instant frenzy. Within 48 hours, teleportation was renamed Snackportation by online fans. By day 3, the human public had already created sandwich delivery startup pitches. By the end of the week, Snack-TDM promised pan-galactic bites at light-bending speed. The galaxy, predictably, went bonkers. The Othari Scientific Council demanded full specs. The Veltraxan academics tried to disprove the test by replicating it using a bagel. The bagel was lost in subspace and is still considered missing in action. Meanwhile, humanity was already moving on. They weren't content with just sandwiches. We're teleporting dessert next, Plim announced in a press conference. Specifically, double chocolate lava cake. If we can move molten sugar through non-locality, we've basically rewritten the dessert menu of the galaxy. Well, is this your priority? An alien reporter asked. Because dessert is universal, Plim replied. Zarnox updated his report to the Council of Sciences. Do not underestimate their culinary motivations. They've built quantum technology on caffeine and stubbornness. We are witnessing the birth of snack-based scientific acceleration. This is not a joke, or rather it is, but they're serious about it. As the data poured in from the teleportation event, Lyra leaned over the observation deck, watching Plim prepare a follow-up test involving pudding and a miniature gravity funnel. I think, she said, the rest of the galaxy expected them to ask for wisdom, for secrets, for power. They asked for snacks instead, Zarnox replied. And now they have them. Everywhere. Honestly, Lyra smirked, it's kind of brilliant. Brilliant, Zarnox agreed. And horrifying. Back in the lab, Morgan was drawing up plans for a teleportable food truck called the Warp Wrap. The logo would feature a sandwich mid-warp, surrounded by Einsteinian field equations. Plim was practicing teleporting coffee. Not for science, just because he didn't want to walk across the lab. And somewhere deep in space, a lonely bagel drifted silently through the void, testament to a universe that would never be the same again. It started quietly, like most seismic shifts in the galaxy do. One by one, the ancient warnings scattered across solar system relics were being revisited, not by high councils or crisis teams, but by bloggers, influencers, curious tourists with translation apps, and a thirst for weird alien history. The original messages, etched into moons, comets, and forgotten ruins, still carried the same gravitas. Do not wake the third planet. Approach Earth with extreme caution. Beware of caffeine-based civilizations. But now those same ruins were surrounded by review stations, holographic photo booths, and souvenir kiosks with neon signs that said, "Take a selfie with the ancient Earth warning. Caution, they bite, but only metaphorically." At one point, the warning carved into the frozen cliffs of Threxos, originally a solemn plea for caution, was temporarily covered by a glowing projection that read, "Galactic Yelp rating 4.8. Try the pizza." Zarnox Vel stood there staring in disbelief. Who turned a doomsday message into a tourist attraction?" he asked, antennae twitching. Technically, Plim said from atop a hover scooter, it was a travel vlogger named Astera Moonbeam. Her channel's slogan is "I beam where I dream." She did a whole series called Haunted Warnings of the Human System. "It's trending in 3 languages, Lyra added, showing him her screen. Hashtags include Human Zone, Caffeinated Species, and Pet Me Please. Pet me? Zarnox repeated. Yeah, it's a thing. Turns out humans pet a lot of species as a sign of affection. Now, they're doing it to us. I am not a golden retriever, Zarnox hissed. Lyra just shrugged. You give off approachable energy. But the memes were unstoppable. The Otharis once classified Red Level Threat Document 717A, detailing the Earth species as a dormant existential risk, had been turned into a reaction meme template. One viral remix featured the phrase, "This is a Class 7 planetary anomaly. Me waking up before coffee." Even the bagel drift incident, the still missing test item from the snack portation trials, had become a recurring joke on the galactic net. Posts flooded in. Somewhere out there, a bagel watches us all. Bagelverse confirmed. What if we're all just inside the bagel simulation? Human comedians were performing stand-up routines titled The Earthling Effect, poking fun at how they'd accidentally rebranded interstellar fear into universal fascination. And then came the biggest twist of all. An alien species showed up for first contact with Earth, unironically excited. The Vorlaxi, a crystalline hive mind known for avoiding most diplomacy, sent an envoy with a gift basket containing cosmic syrup, starfruit, and what appeared to be homemade banana bread. Their leader addressed the United Assembly of Nations with wide-eyed awe. "We have heard your memes. We would like to be friends." Zarnox nearly fainted. From that point on, Earth wasn't feared, it was followed. New civilizations arriving at the edge of the solar system didn't get intercepted with defense protocols. Instead, they were greeted by welcome drones broadcasting looping video compilations of first contact dance-offs, coffee reactions from aliens trying espresso for the first time, Lyra's cooking shows, and Plim yelling "science but with spice" during a failed cake experiment that set off an interdimensional glitter explosion. Eventually, the warnings themselves changed. Yes, the original carvings remained, but new ones were added by the Earth team themselves. In the asteroid belt, etched into a floating black stone, it now read, "Warning. The third planet is awake. They have coffee, They have memes. They will absolutely turn your cultural trauma into a dance challenge. P.S. If they ask you to just try the pineapple pizza, say yes. It's how they test you. And perhaps the most telling of all came from a legendary Othari archivist who once swore Earth would doom galactic order. Her updated entry? Correction, Earth did not doom the galaxy. They weirded it into therapy. As Zarnox updated his report, he added, "The humans did not destroy us. They disrupted us fundamentally, socially, emotionally. And the weirdest part? We're better for it." Lyra handed him a mug. "Try the mocha chai hybrid," she said. "It tastes like curiosity and mild regret." "I'm afraid," Zarnox replied. "You should be," she smiled. 5 years after first contact, the galaxy had changed. The once silent halls of the Grand Galactic Council were now lined with vending machines offering Earth snacks. The Interstellar Academy of Sciences had a mandatory human cultural absurdity course, and somewhere on a backwater moon, a band of diplomats was perfecting their choreography for K-pop diplomacy night. This was Earth's legacy. At the heart of the chaos, 3 figures watched the fallout of their original mission spiral into galactic-wide weirdness. "Did you hear?" said Plim, sipping a drink called Zero-G Fizz. "We're trending again." "What now?" asked Zarnox Vel, bracing for impact. "Some humans taught a sentient nebula to beatbox. It's going on tour with the intergalactic karaoke circuit. We're opening next week." Zarnox blinked. "We are?" "Apparently, yes," said Dr. Lero, already adjusting the sleeves of her glitter-infused formal robes. "We've been nominated for Best First Contact Cultural Exchange in the Galaxy's Got Harmony Awards." "I'm a scientist," Zarnox said flatly. "Not a pop star." "You'll be a sensation," Plim grinned. "Your brooding face went viral again. They're calling you the Space Dad." "I'm updating my resignation letter," Zarnox muttered, pulling out a holopad. But it was no use. The galaxy was hooked. Humanity had rewritten the rules not just of contact, but of cosmic connection. Diplomatic summits now included dance battles, peace treaties were celebrated with karaoke night, and every new species that arrived at Earth's door left with a care package that included coffee beans, a sticker that said, "Hug first, scan later," and a USB drive loaded with Earth memes, translated into 600 languages. Plim's TikTok channel had hit 1.2 billion followers. One of his most watched videos was titled "Quantum Entanglement, but Make It Cats," in which he used Earth kittens to explain spooky action at a distance. The kittens wore bow ties. The explanation involved laser pointers and a rotating sushi conveyor belt. It was surprisingly accurate. Lyra, now co-running an interstellar food chain called Fusion Fables, had made first contact dishes like Coriolis croissants, graviton tacos, dark matter pudding which no one could explain but everyone wanted. She also casually solved a planetary nutrition crisis on Zorak 7 by combining Earth's concept of brunch with their native algae. Zarnox, despite his protests, had become a cult figure across several spiral arms. His deadpan delivery during council debates was used as a template for thousands of reaction memes, and his face, squinting skeptically at a glittery treaty, was turned into a sticker with the phrase, "Diplomacy, now with extra glitter." Even the ancient civilizations who had once left those grave warnings about Earth had apparently begun watching from the shadows. One anonymous message was found carved into a drifting derelict ship, believed to be a remnant from the early warning era. It read, "We tried to warn you, but we didn't expect this. Good luck, and remember, don't challenge them to karaoke unless you're ready to lose." The final proof that humanity had fully infected the galaxy came during the annual Intergalactic Science Symposium, where Plim was scheduled to present on the thermodynamics of energy-efficient teleportation. Instead, he opened with a dance routine set to Boogie Wonderland, used finger puppets to simulate particle collisions, and ended by singing "I Will Survive" while holographically reconstructing wormhole theory. The crowd gave a standing ovation. Zarnox just put his head in his hands. "What happened to objective inquiry?" he moaned. "It's been rebranded," Lyra replied. "Now it comes with a cat mascot and a jingle." Later that night, as the three original researchers sat under the stars outside the symposium center, sipping caffeinated stardust shakes, they watched a group of aliens from 12 different species attempt the cha-cha slide on the plaza. "Do you regret it?" Plim asked, voice quiet for once. Zarnox stared at the dancing chaos. "Every day." "Really?" Lyra asked. "No," he admitted. "Not even a little." A hush fell over the starlit courtyard as a projection flared into view above the crowd. It read, "To the future explorers. If you find this message, the galaxy's better now. Louder, stranger, friendlier. Don't be afraid of the third planet. Just bring a good sense of humor, a flexible definition of possible, and maybe earplugs for karaoke night." "Speaking of which," Plim said, standing and adjusting his glittering sash, "our turn to sing." Zarnox stood slowly. "This is madness." Lyra grinned. "It's harmony." They walked into the swirling lights, ready to sing, to laugh, to utterly confuse the next wave of diplomats. Because in the end, that was Earth's greatest power. They didn't conquer the galaxy. They partied into it. It was a calm day at the Celestial Accord Center, a sprawling space station orbiting the tri-star system of Velox Prime. Calm, that is, until the humans arrived. They didn't dock with a military escort. They didn't broadcast formal declarations. They burst into the docking bay, blasting Earth jazz, wearing coordinated sequin jumpsuits, and handing out free tacos. One alien diplomat dropped their translator. The humans smiled. "We brought the vibe." News spread instantly. "The humans are back. They brought snacks. And they have a portable karaoke rig." The new arrivals to the galactic community, tentative, wide-eyed, and unsure, watched as the humans waltzed straight into the Accord Center and initiated what Earth calls a cultural welcome wave. It started with music, then dancing, then someone in a T-Rex costume yelling, "Join the conga of unity." Within minutes, the galaxy's most sophisticated diplomatic assembly had transformed into a pulsing rhythmic spiral of species awkwardly linking appendages in a massive conga line that stretched through 5 docking rings and 2 cafeterias. "I can't believe this is happening," Zarnox Vel muttered, sipping from a mug that read, "First Contact Veteran, I need a raise." Beside him, Lyra was laughing too hard to answer, balancing a tray of what Earthlings called space churros. Her robes were dusted with powdered sugar. Plim, naturally, was leading the conga line, wearing glitter boots and waving 2 sparklers. "Science is for dancing, too," he bellowed, trailing holographic streamers. But amidst the chaos, something subtle was unfolding. The newest alien delegation, the Trenacker Collective, a reclusive race made of semi-liquid crystal and uncertainty, had arrived for their first interaction with the wider galactic community. They were known for extreme caution, diplomacy via neural pulses, and a complete fear of unstructured interaction. And yet, they joined the conga. Wobbly, hesitant, crystallizing with every step. One even tried a churro. Afterward, when asked what changed their mind, the Trenacker lead emitted a shimmery pulse that translated to, "We had prepared for invasion. We were warned of Earth's chaos. We did not anticipate kindness delivered via pastry and synchronized dance." Humanity, it turned out, wasn't just bringing disruption, they were bringing connection. They didn't break the galactic mold. They glitter-bombed it and invited everyone to decorate the pieces. Even the ancient civilizations that once issued stern warnings were now contributing. One rogue satellite drifted into the system with a message etched in gold. "We warned you. You didn't listen." And somehow, that was the right call. It ended with a smiling emoji and a recipe for interstellar brownies. As the celebration carried on, the Intergalactic Council officially recognized Earth's contribution to unity through the spontaneous creation of a new diplomatic protocol. Article 42b. If it feels ridiculous but everyone's smiling, proceed. Back on the observation deck, Zarnox looked out at the swirling dance below. "This was supposed to be a research mission," he said. "It still is," Lyra replied. "We're just learning different things." She handed him a mini cupcake topped with a tiny flag that read Galactic Hug Squad. "Like how diplomacy tastes better with frosting?" she said. Down below, Plim had convinced a group of serious-looking diplomats to learn the Macarena. A kitten in a gravity harness floated through the crowd, trailing glow-stick ribbons. An alien elder was laughing so hard he started levitating unintentionally. And somewhere, beyond the lights and laughter, the cosmos watched and smiled. Because the humans hadn't taken over the galaxy, they'd simply made it more alive, more weird, more loud, more delicious. They didn't change its rules. They rewrote its rhythm, and that rhythm was set to karaoke, served with coffee and danced in a conga line of cosmic. Years had passed since Earth's meme-pounded debut onto the galactic stage, but its influence had only intensified. What began with tacos and dance-offs had evolved into something far more unsettling for the universe's more serious civilization. Humanity had become the most effective problem-solving species in known space. Not because of superior intellect, not because of vast resources, but because humans had a dangerous habit of not knowing what was impossible and then doing it anyway. The incident that finally broke the metaphorical space camel's back started innocently enough. At a late-night hackathon in Earth's orbital food tech fusion lab, Dr. Lyra attempted to create a sentient comfort food dish as a promotional gimmick. A combination of neural gelatin processors, AI flavor indexing, and mood-responsive gravy culminated in the birth of a self-aware mashed potato entity. They named it Kevin. He spoke in haikus. He requested a top hat. He applied to the University of Galactic Sciences to pursue a degree in theoretical physics, and was accepted. "This can't be real," Zarnox Val whispered, watching Kevin give a keynote presentation on quantum tunneling using hand puppets and aroma-coded equations. "It's very real," said Plim, proudly holding Kevin's report card. "He got an A+ in applied relativity and won best vibe at orientation." The galaxy couldn't cope. First came confusion, then denial, then, uncomfortably, admiration. Because Kevin didn't just have insight, he had insight with flavor. His first published paper, Gravitational Fields and Garlic Bread, a case study in curved deliciousness, became a foundational text in edible astrophysics. "I think," Lyra admitted one night, staring at the stars, "we may have created the next Einstein, out of leftovers." "I once feared humanity," Zarnox replied solemnly. "Now I fear Kevin." Back on Earth, Kevin became a sensation. He hosted a late-night talk show called Crumbs of Wisdom. He starred in a mini-series titled The Spud Awakens. And, disturbingly, he began a growing philosophical movement known as Starchism, which centered around optimism, unity, and the belief that all intelligent life should be served with warm rolls. Even the ancient civilizations who had carved the original "Do Not Wake the Third Planet" warnings were revising their positions. One discovered tablet read, "We thought they were the end, but they might be the reset." Also, this Kevin is unsettlingly charming. Meanwhile, the humans kept pushing. They used AI karaoke algorithms to decode extinct alien languages. They weaponized humor into diplomatic breakthroughs. They accidentally invented an empathy virus that caused galactic peace talks to result in hugs 87% of the time. And then came the final moment, unpredictable, absurd, and undeniably human. At the first Galactic Expo of Culinary Intelligence, Kevin Dean, wearing a monocle and bow tie, demonstrated a breakthrough in spatial folding using nothing but a hot plate and maple syrup. His closing words echoed across the stars. If gravity is a dance, then let joy lead. And always season your equations. The galaxy, once a tapestry of mistrust, fear, and bureaucracy, paused, then applauded, then burst into synchronized interpretive dance. Zarnox stood at the edge of the crowd, sipping decaf from a Kevin is my co-pilot mug. So, he said, turning to Plim and Lyra, was this the plan all along? Nope, Plim said, his glitter boots reflecting starlight. It was way dumber. And way better, Lyra added, handing him a churro made of dark matter and marshmallow. In the final report submitted to the Council of Sciences, now published on Earth's streaming platform under the category Inspirational Comedy Docusaga, Zarnox wrote, "They changed everything. Not by force, not by superiority, but by refusing to be anything other than ridiculously, relentlessly human." The last page read, "P.S. Kevin has requested tenure. We recommend granting it for everyone's safety. VPs are going to need more coffee and possibly a cosmic therapist."